Let's roll. We are kicking it live at the beautiful MGM Grand, straight for the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. Countdown to kickoff continues. Countdown to a lot of things continue. There's a lot of stuff going on the Strip, as there always is. And, of course, MGM Grand is right in the middle of it all, and so are we. Edmonton Oiler fan have taken the building over. They're ready to take the arena over. The Edmonton Oilers have won 16 consecutive NHL hockey games. They're playing the defending Stanley Cup champion Vegas Golden Knights tonight across the street. We'll give you our thoughts on this game. We'll give you our picks on this game. Let's get caught up with the Super Bowl. Last night was quite the circus media night at Allegiant Stadium. They've turned the Super Bowl media night into basically WrestleMania. They have the players coming out together. San Francisco 49er fan stepped up and repped hard last night. But the Kansas City Chiefs relish being the villain. And don't think the Kansas City Chiefs won't relish being the underdog in the championship game as well. It's interesting. The Kansas City Chiefs are only the third defending champion to be an underdog in the football game. And we've talked a lot about the point spread this week. Why is it that the San Francisco 49ers are actually favorites? I'd say that basically, 90% of the people that we've spoken to this week have said they like the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game. We're going to have an NFL great step up and join us. Lights out, Sean Merriman in the house. San Diego Charger legend Sean Merriman kicks it with us. Speaking of legends, we got a legend in the making going to join us on the program, Sheena Bathory. Now, if you're into this power slap stuff, you know who Sheena Bathory is. Sheena Bathory has over 200 million hits and views on Instagram. Her knockout of in her last fight, literally like hundreds and hundreds of millions of hits. She is fighting on Friday night at the Durango here in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's Power Slap 6. We're going to break it down with Sheena Bathory, as well as the CEO and the president of Power Slap, Frank Lemisella, will join us as well. We've got a stacked program. Jack Settlement will join us live right here from MGM Grand. And Jack was in the house for the circus last night, and he asked a great question. All right, just, forget about this, and are you a wrestling fan, and what are your childhood memories of the Super Bowl? What color Gatorade do you guys drink? Point blank. And I love Jack. We're stoked we're going to have him on the program, because you remember in the past couple of years, every time I have a Super Bowl player on, I always just sort of ask him, hey, man, what's your favorite color of Gatorade with the team anyways, man? What color do you guys kind of drink? And they'll tell you point blank, we hate the yellow. We hate the lemon stuff. All right, we hate the lemon stuff. It turns out that the San Francisco 49ers actually like blue. All right, they like blue Gatorade, just for the record. Yet they don't drink water, right? But they actually pour Gatorade, even though they're not really drinking Gatorade during the game, they're drinking water. They pour Gatorade on the coach because Gatorade is a damn sponsor, right? They're paying money for this stuff. But it's good to know. So we're going to get our boy Jack Settlement up here in a couple of minutes. We got big news from Las Vegas as well. We're literally across the street from where the Oakland Athletics potentially would move. But legendary mayor Oscar Goodman, of course, his wife Carolyn Goodman, now the mayor of Las Vegas. I'm sure the A's didn't expect this Super Bowl week as she does the media rounds, saying that they would be better off staying in Oakland. And she really doesn't think that it's worth the trouble at this point. Wow. So we got a bombshell there. We got Brady Cannon in the house. It's the Waste Management. Always the most popular golf tournament of the year because people get wasted, literally and figuratively, at this tournament. Speaking of getting wasted, was Kyle Shanahan drunk last night? Like, we've got some video, and our boy Jack Settlement was there. I want to ask him, because he spoke to him. There's some videos out there. Normally, if there was a drunk Super Bowl issue, I would be in the middle of it. Like, I'm so happy I'm not. I was like, is somebody drunk? It's like, no, it's not. Is Morency drunk at the Super Bowl? No, it's actually Kyle Shanahan. It's not Morency. And I spoke to someone today that's in the NFL, pretty big dude. And I said to him, hey, yo, man, was Kyle Shanahan drunk last night? He goes, I think he was. And then he goes, you know what? He goes, he's getting out of his system early in the week, and then we get to work. Speaking of getting drunk, I know we got Edmonton Oiler fans all over the place here. These people have been getting drunk all weekend. I think the Edmonton Oilers are actually in the Super Bowl And it's not the Niners and the Chiefs, because Oiler fans have taken the Strip over. We're going to give you our pick for this hockey game. The Edmonton Oilers are actually favorites in this game, despite the Vegas Golden Knights being the defending Stanley Cup champions. I don't know, man. If I had a 16-game win streak, I don't think I want the All-Star break to come. Terrible timing for the Edmonton Oilers to be in the middle of a 16-game win streak and now have to come out of the break. And, Las Vegas aren't giving us any of this stuff about, it's just another game. No, they came out and said, yeah, we want to win, we want to end the streak, and we want to stay ahead of them. It's super competitive right now. You got the Vancouver Canucks, you got the Edmonton Oilers, the Winnipeg Jets, the Colorado Avalanche. It's just crazy competitive, crazy stupid right now in the Western Conference of the National Hockey League. I want to get into some props. We're going to get you more props. I can't wait to see what Jack Settleman's come up with as far as props. And our boy Jack's been known to break like NBA news in the past, too. Are the Knicks going to do something else? We're going to find out. Jack's going to the Power Slap. And this is super cool that we've got Sheena Bathory on the program. This girl's going to be a phenom, man. And for people that think that, Power Slap is savage and it's not for you and stuff, fine. But I remember people saying the same thing about the UFC 20 years ago, and here we are right now. The UFC built this town, essentially, in the last 20 years. So I wouldn't count Power Slap out. In North America, it's funny because you get more concussions from playing football than we will from Power Slap, right? But it looks worse, right? They're not wearing helmets, and you're seeing people get smoked across the side of the head, and it freaks people out. But we've got one of the best ever to do it. And basically like the Ronda Rousey of Power Slap, Sheena Bathory will step up. And then we're going to get Shawn Merriman's Super Bowl pick as well. We'll see if he's one of many. Basically everybody that says the same thing. I can't get in front of Mahomes. You know what? I can get in front of Mahomes. Don't get in front of Mahomes' father because he's drunk and he's going to run you over. But I'll get in front of Mahomes. I don't have a problem with it. Listen, he hasn't won every Super Bowl he's been in. Right? And, in fact, we went over the numbers yesterday, how the numbers start to dip, actually, for Mahomes a little bit in Super Bowl. San Francisco's got to come up with a way to shut down Pacheco and really just force Mahomes to be able to throw the football to the limited cast of weapons that he actually has. But we're getting fired up for this football game. We got all kinds of stats. We got all kinds of data. And can people stop, coming at our boy Brock Purdy? We're going to show you a comparison of Brock Purdy and a world famous person in a couple of minutes as well. Poor Brock Purdy. When I saw it, I said, "Man, why you got to play this guy like that?" I said, "Why you got to play this guy like that?" So we've got a packed house here. Jack Settleman steps up and in. Brady Cannon, he's the best in the business when it comes to handicapping golf. We're going to break it down waste management style. We'll get a head start with Brady as far as what he's looking at for the Super Bowl. We got Shawn Merriman. We got Sheena Bathory. We got Jack Settleman. We're locked and loaded, kicking it live right here at the MGM Grand, straight from the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. Super Bowl week coverage on the grid continues. Bring it.
Super Bowl is set in Vegas. We get a rematch from just a few years ago.
The only consistency in the playoffs has been Travis Kelce.
Brock Purdy, back-to-back weeks playing one touchdown pass, right? You can't win MVP with one touchdown pass. I hate the Chiefs, but I bet on them.
This is going to be a game that is played inside a field goal now from a spread perspective.
All that matters is there's one game left, the big game.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He doesn't run well, the Chiefs are really in trouble. If McCaffrey doesn't run well, there's a lot more options that you can actually use at that point. And that's how I'm trying to approach it and effectively. But also, Pacheco, anytime touchdown, if they're going to score a touchdown, probably going to be him.
That's a good look. Attempts for Pacheco if you believe Kansas City's going to play their style. If you don't, then maybe you go under that total in regards to that.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I think Mahomes will go over that 12.5 easy. I think McCaffrey will have 20 or more attempts because they know they can't throw all day against that Kansas City defense. They got to run.
Teams that win have been healthier for the most part. So you have two relatively healthy teams, but the 49ers have the advantage.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid Super Bowl 58 coverage continues. Straight from the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am Gabriel Morency. We're kicking it live at the beautiful MGM Grand as countdown to kickoff continues. It's a wild week this week. I met Teofimo Lopez earlier in the day, just like walking in the hallway at Mandalay Bay. He's fighting on Thursday night. We've got Power Slap on Friday night at the Durango. It's the first time ever that's been open to the public. It used to be invite only. Our boy, it's like this show, invite only. Our boy Jack Settleman's here. He's been getting the invites. He's everywhere. And in fact, Jack, I follow you on social media. You're a big social media star. And you've been in more stadiums this year than Al Michaels and Pat McAfee combined, bro. Like every week you're somewhere else, and this week you're at the Super Bowl in Vegas, baby. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. This week is insane. I literally got sat for breakfast this morning. Roger Goodell getting seated right behind me. So you can see a ton of people out
there. Hold on. He got sat for breakfast. Me and Jack are staying at the same caliber and quality of hotels, evidently. He's got Roger Goodell sitting next to him. I've got like a hooker. Yeah, man, I got a hooker.
Roger Goodell was sitting with.
So you were at the press conference last night, and in the past, the open media night, it's always been known as a circus. But it used to just sort of, the media would make it about themselves a lot. You'd have the hot girl from Brazil, and you know what I'm saying, and the players would all be in. They've really sort of modernized this and sort of felt like, I wasn't there last night, we were doing the show here, but watching the clips after, sort of seemed like they were hyping up WrestleMania or something. They're on the stage together. What was it like being in there?
It was cool. It was electric. Like you said, more Niners fans than Chiefs fans. I don't know. It's closer, obviously. I don't know if there's a little fatigue. The Chiefs are in this thing every year. Actually, talking to the Chiefs players, they seem bored. They've gotten these questions year in and year out. They've been in this thing for the past 6 dances. So it was still a fun time. A lot of access to the players. Also, the Niners have so many stars. Ayuk, Debo, Purdy, Kittle, Fred Warner, Trent Williams. So you got free access to go. They weren't that busy. Chiefs,
from what I understand, too, because everybody swarmed Kelsey and everybody swarmed Mahomes, right?
Exactly, and Andy Reid, too. So it was a great night at...
well, you asked some great questions.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll get to some of these clips, but let me ask you, because you were there, the San Francisco 49ers seemed extremely loose. Kittle's talking about wrestling. Brock Purdy's doing SpongeBob imitations. Kyle Shanahan seemed so relaxed. Some people thought he had a couple of drinks before he went on the field last night. What was your takeaway? Let's just cut to the chase. As bettors, as we're in a sports book here, what were your taking away? Because sometimes I'll interview athletes, and especially I interview a lot of fighters and stuff, and I'll know. I'm like, oh, they're so done.
Yeah.
I won't tell people publicly because, I just had them on my, you know the drill, right? I'm like, no, they're going to win for real. Did you walk away liking or disliking anything about speaking to the people from a betting perspective?
I mean, as a Ravens fan, you could tell the experience differences in the AFC Championship. The Chiefs are just calm, cool, and collected. And I think this Niners team in 19, they were kind of this new team, fresh to it all. And they do have a little bit of confidence and reserve. Shanahan, his third Super Bowl. Debo, he's a young player in the league, but he's now been in 2 Super Bowls. Kittle, he's been planning on being back in the spot. The big question mark's the quarterback, which is a huge question mark. But everyone else, like you said, seems to be relaxed, seems to be embracing the moment and confident going into this game.
I think Brock Purdy feels more confident than other people feel in him.
Yeah.
And I actually think that the Niner players, that the fact that he was challenged, I had my questions about him. I've always liked him, but it's like being a jockey if you're on the fastest horse, right? And we've seen a couple of times this year, and I'm not going to judge him, but, the Cleveland games, the Cincinnati, there's certain times, all right, we need you to march us down the field now, bro. Like, we're not winning 20. McCaffrey doesn't have 4 touchdowns tonight. We need you to do it. I think he's shown that he can. The big drive under big pressure against the Green Bay Packers, and that was a pretty epic second half that he had. Everybody focused in on Detroit's management, but the Niners played great. They put 27 points up on the board in the second half.
They played an amazing game, and I asked Brock Purdy last night, I said, what could happen in the draft process that someone who could be starting a Super Bowl in year 2, who was in the MVP conversation, how could they even fall out of, the first 6 rounds? It blows my mind. He's done everything. If you listen to Niners fans, they'll jam it down your throat. He's been special this year. It's not the Niners team. But then when you think about betting the game, the Niners team is special. They're loaded with all-pros. Both sides of the ball, they got 4 or 5 all-pros. So I'm in on Brock Purdy. I'm going to be in on the Niners. Look, if you want to bet Patrick Mahomes, do it. But like you said in the opener, you don't want to get in front of Patrick Mahomes, especially as a dog. I did it in the Super Bowl when Brady was there. Now, is Brock Purdy Tom Brady? I don't know. But you can do it when the better team is the better team.
I find it interesting, and I brought it up off the top of the program, that this is only the 3rd time that the defending Super Bowl champion has been an underdog. Both times, they lost. The 1978 Dallas Cowboys, we're going back a ways, the 1978 Cowboys, and the 2014 Seattle Seahawks, who lost on the goal line to the New England Patriots. So it goes to show the two, because a lot of people have asked me, and I've asked guests, we have had a lot of handicappers on, if it's so one-sided, Mahomes is 11-1 against the spread as an underdog. He's 14-3 in playoff games. I brought it up. He's 18-3 against the spread in any game that the point spread is 3 points or less. So basically, pick 'em games. He's 18-3 in. There's all this sort of data and sort of Mahomes mystique. Yet San Francisco have been the favorite all along, bro. There was that little buyback with KC, but you saw the market. It's been all SF since.
It has been all public money on the Chiefs, and these bookmakers who are probably behind us somewhere, they don't care. They're like, all right, let's take the Kansas City money, because the line should be 4, 5, 6 points. If it wasn't Patrick Mahomes, it would be that way, and I get it. Pat Mahomes deserves that respect, but I think the Niners are the right side in the game.
All right, so you had an opportunity last night to speak to Shanahan. You asked him about the Gatorade. Yeah. We've got the numbers here for Gatorade. What was your takeaway from this? Great question.
Yeah, so a little backstory. At that Super Bowl I mentioned, Brady Mahomes, I filmed the Gatorade being dumped, and famous moment, they're dumping the Gatorade. Before it gets dumped out, it cuts to Mahomes on the bench. No one knows what color Gatorade. So I'm getting texts. I have the video. I tweeted out. Millions of views. I'm the official video for the color blue being the official Gatorade. So Gatorade's been my thing every Super Bowl week. So we went into that trying to ask some questions. Shanahan said his favorite color is orange. He's not playing in the game. It doesn't matter.
He's not drinking it. Yeah.
But the line still moved off of that, fun content. So we talked to Ayuk. We talked to some other players. I've got some sources. I've got some pictures. The Niners tend to be a blue Gatorade team. Take that for whatever it's worth.
You know what? Blue is the cheapest number. Blue right now, guys, blue plus 200, purple plus 225, orange plus 400, yellow green plus 600, red pink plus 700, clear water 12 to 1, no Gatorade poured 16 to 1.
So let me touch on some of the long shots real quick. Clear, I think Shanahan.
That's got to be worth a shot at 12 to 1.
It's worth a shot because all the teams.
And somebody just picks up the closest damn one and said, yo, we're getting them, right?
To your point, Gatorade pays a lot of money to be on that sideline. So I do think that they're playing the Gatorade when it's time. Red, obviously the two teams in it. I don't think that narrative makes a ton of sense. No Gatorade pour. The last few Super Bowls, we've been very close to a no Gatorade pour. If you think about last year's game, it ends on the failed Hail Mary, and both teams run out onto the field. That's what you're looking for, is a game.
A chaotic end of the game.
You can't get the
Gatorade. Oh, great point. Yeah.
2-point spread in the game. Think it could come down to the wire. Everyone says script, Taylor Swift, all this stuff. So I like 1,600, no Gatorade pour.
All right, we threw out. We've got 30 seconds here. We got one more segment with Jack. We have Sheena Bathory going to join us. You're not going to want to miss this. She's a phenom, and I'm telling you, there's something special about this. This is where she got like 200 million hits online. We got Sean Merriman going to kick us. We'll get into some more props. We got all kinds of rageaholics, old school, Bostonians. Do they know the Patriots aren't playing anymore? You're not in the Super Bowl anymore.
Super Bowl is set in Vegas. We got a rematch from just a few years ago.
The only consistency in the playoffs has been Travis Kelce.
Brock Purdy, back-to-back weeks point one touchdown pass, right? You can't win MVP with one touchdown pass.
I hate the Chiefs, but I bet on them.
This is going to be a game that is played inside a field goal now from a spread perspective.
All that matters is there's one game left, the big game.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He doesn't run well. The Chiefs are really in trouble. If McCaffrey doesn't run well, there's a lot more options that you can actually use at that point. And that's how I'm trying to approach it and effectively. But also, Pacheco anytime touchdown, if they're going to score a touchdown, probably going to be him.
That's a good look. Attempts for Pacheco if you believe Kansas City's going to play their style. If you don't, then maybe you go under that total in regards to that.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I think Mahomes will go over that 12.5 easy. I think McCaffrey will have 20 or more attempts because they know they can't throw all day against that Kansas City defense. They got to run.
Teams that win have been healthier for the most part. So you have two relatively healthy teams, but the 49ers have the advantage.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We are kicking it live. Welcome back to SportsGrid's coverage of Super Bowl 58. We're here live from the beautiful MGM Grand Casino and Resort. Countdown to kickoff is on. We've got a packed show. Brady Cannon's going to join us on set in a couple of minutes. We've got NFL great Sean Merriman going to join us a little bit later on. And we've got a new great and power slap feed on. Sheena Bathory will join us, as well as the CEO and president of Power Slap. Frank Lemisella will join us as well. We're kicking it with Jack Settleman right now. And I was talking earlier about no one wants to get in front of Mahomes, and you've got this sort of LeBron magic going on around him. And, you know, people talk, oh, he's this and he's that. You brought it up earlier, Jack. He did lose the Super Bowl before. It's not like he's undefeated in these instances. But speaking of being favorites, the 49ers are the only team in the National Football League that have been favored in every game this year. The last team to be favored in every game in a National Football League season, the 1994 San Francisco 49ers, baby, that won the Super Bowl. I almost want to go Lee Corso here and we're gonna put it on, but it's a little early in the week. We don't have to do that quite yet, but there's a trend if you want to hang your hat on something. So what do you think about this? You're liking San Francisco in this game.
I am liking San Francisco, and if a team is favored in every game, what's that normally mean for that team? That team's probably pretty good if the bookmakers are making them on paper. You know, you still got to win the games and cover the spread. But I do like the Niners in this game. Like I said earlier, all pros on both sides of the ball. If you want to ask questions about Brock Purdy, you're afraid of jumping in front of the Mahomes train, I don't blame you. Like, I understand why you get that feeling. But in his 3 Super Bowls, trailed by 10 points in the fourth quarter against the San Francisco 49ers. Did not look good against Tampa Bay. I know his O-line was beat up, but that's how I expect this game to go on Sunday. The better football team is the Niners, and when they played the Bucs in that Super Bowl, he was overwhelmed because they were the worst team. Can he overcome it again? Of course he's back to
That Chief team was decimated
they
on
were.
the O-line.
Joe Tooney, is he playing on Sunday, right?
No,
So,
they said probably not. You're
and
right.
this is one of the best pass rushes
And
in the
without
NFL.
a great defensive lineman as well that people are talking about a lot.
That clogs up against a run team. The Ravens blew it. They panicked. They choked it. They ran the ball 6 times.
So you're a Ravens fan, hardcore. I'm a Buffalo Bill fan, hardcore. I swear, I thought between the both of us, one of us would be able to knock them off.
The Bills were decimated. I really think the Bills
were. They had 7 backups on the field in the second half. But
the Ravens were at full strength. And if the Ravens had
still
adopted the Bills' game plan, I think they win the game. But they panicked. And the Niners, like you mentioned earlier, they've been through this twice already in this postseason. So the questions around Brock Purdy coming from behind have been answered. Now, do they want to fall behind and lose the run and lean on the pass? No, that's not the game plan against Patrick Mahomes. But I still think if they play a balanced game, Andy Reid is as big of a big game blunder as Kyle Shanahan. So if you're scared of the coaching thing, they both are awful at time management. They both have blown situations before. I think it's a pretty even game, and I like the Niners as the better team in this one.
We're not going to sit here and try to tell you that Mahomes isn't awesome and he isn't all that, but the number that we've talked about, he's actually thrown more interceptions in his 3 Super Bowls than he has in his other 14 playoff games combined.
That's great.
All right? The numbers as well, if we get into it, Mahomes' completion percentage dropped from 69% in his first 3 rounds in the playoffs to 62% in the Super Bowl, which is the largest decrease among 13 quarterbacks, which at least 3 Super Bowl starts.
There you go.
So we're backing it up a little bit here, Jack, right?
He does now have this unbelievable defense that he has never had in his career.
That's carried this team.
100%. But he hasn't turned the ball over. So what's it look like they fall behind? And that defense has to be more run commit. Now that pass defense starts to become a little weaker. So I just like the Niners in this spot. But I'm not in love with it. I don't want to say it's the biggest lock of all time. You're still
So what are you, quote, in love with, so to speak?
What do I love?
Because every lock has a key. We should remind people that, right? Every lock has a key.
Yeah.
But is there a player prop or so? What about the total? I've got a bet that I like that both teams are going to score 20 points.
20 points.
Both teams score 20 points or more.
I like that. I do like that.
Like,
I don't
I'd
think
be
it's a bad idea.
surprised if it was 2017.
Yeah.
Like 23-20 wouldn't shock me. 2017 would surprise me.
Yeah. The Chiefs' defense really should be the story of this Super Bowl. I mean, they have held every opponent besides one to 27 or less points. Only 2 teams have scored 25 plus. So that's where I kind of get nervous, especially if you want to take the over. I think you probably do want to correlate a bit of a degree. If you like the over, you're probably on the Chiefs. And if you like the under, you're on the Niners, which is counterintuitive because you're betting against Patrick Mahomes from scoring points and coming from behind. But that's how it's been all year. They have not been good offensively. And I think one game against Miami, they were not good offensively, efficiency-wise. Against Buffalo, they were extremely efficient. That was their best. They didn't score in the second half of the AFC Championship, and no one wants to talk about that.
And Baltimore racked up over 200 yards of offense in the second half of that game.
So I do lean under in this game. It's what, 50 points?
47.5.
47.5. I think that's a key number that you can get the under on, so I like that as well. Could you see a situation where San Fran wins the game and doesn't cover, a 24-23 type? I think that would make me nervous to lay.
No, it wouldn't be shocking in that sense, in that Super Bowls always used to be blowouts, right? And point spreads would never matter in Super Bowls. Look at last year in the Super Bowl, 3-point game, 38-35. Look at 2 years ago in the Super Bowl, 23-20. We've had extremely close games, and in fact, we had Teddy Covers on set yesterday with us, the legend Ted Savransky, and I asked him his score, and he told me 23-22. And I sort of chuckled a bit. I said, that's a weird score. And I asked him again, I said, so what's your final score? He goes, I told you, 23-22. I said, so that's your score? He goes, yes. He goes, yeah, I don't know how many times I have to tell you. He goes, Kansas City is going to win 23-22. It's going to be a one-point game.
Hey, I've seen the exact scores props, and I've also seen everyone with their Super Bowl squares. So I'm sure
we couldn't
someone
find
3-2 would have some.
No,
fun
his score was so whacked. His score was crazier than like a nut job on the strip. But you can't bet 23-22. We're not in England, all right? In England, you could do it. They take a lot of bets here. I told them, listen, you can do 23-20. You want to do 24-21. But you're right. Listen, 27-24 to me feels like a viable score to this game. Either way, all right? The San Francisco 49ers are 80-1 to win this game 27-24. The Kansas City Chiefs are 90-1 to win 27-24. Last time I checked, if I went to the racetrack, the horse track, and I bet on one horse at 80-1 and I bet on another horse at 90-1 and only one of them won, I still had a pretty damn good day at the track. So I don't have a problem with throwing out somebody's scores.
Yeah. Let me give you something that everyone should leave this conversation with. Last year, you said the score was 38-35.
Yeah.
The explosion of sports betting in America has been insane. It went from one state 5 years ago to we're in 38 states. Super Bowl's in Las Vegas. 38-35. Jalen Hurts scores 2 touchdowns, and he scores first for that team. Travis Kelce scores the first touchdown for the Chiefs. Every prop that your mom took.
The public.
Yeah, that the public took hit.
So is this going to happen again? Let me ask you, gut feeling. Who scores the first touchdown of the game?
Well, my gut feeling that I want everyone to leave with is Travis Kelce, Rashee Rice, Isaiah Pacheco, Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Brock Purdy. All their props are not hitting this year. Don't be afraid of the unders just because last year it was so fun to stack them all up, and everyone, and my grandmother even hit a same-game parlay. First touchdown this year, I like George Kittle to get.
You read my mind
first. I like the Niners to go down the field. I think that once they get in the red zone, you got to think you're going to try and stop Christian McCaffrey, especially with that big nose tackle out. So go to George Kittle. He's been ready for this moment for 5 years. I like Kittle.
Listen, you can't go wrong playing tight ends with the first touchdown. I have a play it already. Travis Kelce to record the first reception by a Kansas City Chief at plus 175. I have the same bet for Christian McCaffrey. First 49er to record a reception, Christian McCaffrey at plus 275. But as far as George Kittle is concerned, now listen, I don't have any data to back this up. This is just my gut feel. My gut feel tells me Kansas City score first with a field goal, and then George Kittle scores the first touchdown of the game. And I also love the prop. Will the team that scores first win the game? No. All right? 5 of the last 7 Super Bowls, the team that scored first lost the Super Bowl, including the Philadelphia Eagles last year.
They did. I'm curious what that's at, because if you think the Chiefs score first, maybe you just wait to bet the Niners.
Well, that's another thing that we're obviously going to, in the modern era, Jack, of in-game betting.
Yeah.
Dude, I don't have a problem with waiting until somebody scores the first touchdown and taking the other team, no matter who it is.
Yeah.
If you're getting 7.5 points or something.
100%. On the theme of long shots, I saw one that I like, which will sound weird coming from my Brock Purdy love. Brock Purdy's first pass of the game, interception. I could see something wacky.
No, and we're telling people we like San Francisco. Now you're telling us you're going to throw a damn pick on us.
And then they kick a field goal, and then they rebound and go down
the defense steps up after.
I will say, as much as the script idea with the NFL, I don't buy into it. I do buy into narrative, and the Taylor Swift narrative, and also the Brock Purdy narrative. And the narrative being, like, what if Brock Purdy goes into flux? What if he starts slow with an interception on his first pass? Could Sam Darnold come in the game? Could all the people who bet Sam Darnold to win Super Bowl MVP have a chance? So sometimes I don't mind taking the narrative shots there. So Brock at 41, first pass over the middle, gets tipped, ends up in the Chiefs' hands. I honestly don't hate it because it's a long game.
I got to tell you what, I haven't really had a problem with any of the Taylor Swift stuff. I'm not bothered by it. Whatever, you know what I mean? But one thing, it's gone too far, the fact that now I know her favorite number, and it's 13. Like, the fact that I know that Taylor Swift's favorite number is 13, which is pretty twisted. Will it still be your favorite number? Everything goes so well for that girl. Probably it'll be worse for Brock Purdy, like the number 13 somehow. But follow Jack online. He's going to be all over the strip all week long. Great stuff. Great to see you, Jack.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Sheena Bathory joins us next.
$38, $41, $30, $30. 9 assists, 8 assists, 7 assists, 8 assists. If Jalen Brunson can continue to do this and the Knicks continue to overachieve and play themselves into a top 5 seed in the East, Jalen Brunson should get better consideration for the MVP. It is deserved.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
He feels like he's got unfinished business, right? He won the national championship, did what he said he wanted to do, going back to Ann Arbor.
And, he coached, I think, with the Raiders as an assistant, and then got the job with the Niners, and then went to title games, went to Super Bowls, lost to his brother, and I think you're right, unfinished business, go back, try to win a Super Bowl.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on
We are kicking it live on Media Row in Las Vegas, Nevada, and the anticipation continues to build. Countdown to kickoff is on, but the Super Bowl is not the only big event in town this week. We've got boxing matches, we've got football games, and we've got the first ever live Power Slap in which fans were able to buy tickets. It was invite only before. It's Power Slap 6, Friday night, for February the 9th, at the beautiful, newly opened Durango. And I tell you what, we have a viral sensation. Forget about Taylor Swift, all right? Because we've got Sheena Bathory, which I think is just the coolest, baddest-ass name I've ever heard. It's great to meet you in person. And we have Frank Lemusella, the president of Power Slap. Good to see you, Frank. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate it.
And listen, we're extremely fired up. I'm excited to meet both of you. So let's start off with you, Sheena. What do you think of the Super Bowl experience, Las Vegas? It's quite the circus, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely hyping up for our event too. The vibe. I'm arrived here, so it's fantastic. Yeah.
Now you were taking on Jackie Cataline on Friday night. We're just a couple of days away now. At what point do you lock it in and not want to be sitting around and doing things like this and just focus in on the fight?
Absolutely. The last week is just about the focus. I try to escalate myself from people, and just keeping my positive myself and just manifesting for my next victory and my next knockout. And
Frank, Dana's talked about how viral this sport has gone. We know in Eastern Europe and in Europe it's sort of been accepted. When I look at your role, how much can you lean on Dana? Because it seems like he went through a lot of the same conversations that you've had with a lot of media types about this is a savage sport. What about concussions? What about TCT? And I can't help but think about the ironies. We sit here at the Super Bowl with a sport that kind of like you get concussions in, right?
Yeah.
How much has Dana sort of guided you and helped you say, you know what, they're going to come at you in a lot of these interviews?
He's been incredible. I mean, from the first moment that they asked me to do this, listen, if Dana asks you to do something in combat sports, the answer is yes, and we'll figure it all out later.
So is that how you became the president? Because you were corporate, you're an attorney, and you mergers, for 5 years. Right?
Yep.
So how did you end up sort of the face of this sport, so to speak, the representative of it?
I give a lot of credit to Dana. I also give a lot of credit to Hunter Campbell, our chief business officer. He was the guy who brought me over here 5 years ago, and this idea was starting. We knew it would be big. They knew we needed somebody to focus on it full time, and sort of next man up, batter up.
Was the initial reaction more negative than you thought, the same as you thought? You guys do focus groups, I'm assuming, sort of. What did you think?
No focus group.
No?
The reality is our Dana and Lorenzo, Lorenzo Fertitta is a partner owner of this. He's also an owner of UFC. They went through this exact story 20 years ago. Now UFC is this global property, 50 events per year, but it was never always that way. It was no one would take an event. No one would allow it to happen. The Senate's writing all this stuff, and now you look at it today, and it is what
John
it's become.
McCain called it human cockfighting.
Right. So it's the same. This literally the same exact thing is happening with Power Slap, except we're light years ahead than when the UFC started because of all the experience we have.
And I'm glad that you brought up the Fertittas because I almost get a kick out of thinking about they must get a rush out of this, almost doing it over again.
Well, it's fun,
right? They're like, hey,
we've
been through this, right?
I would say 100%. Dana loves having the group back together to basically build another sport from scratch. And it's exciting to now have the first live event outside of Apex at Durango. It all makes sense.
So, Sheena, what do you say to people when they say, oh, that's a crazy sport, you wouldn't do it? What do you say to people about this? Because you've competed in judo.
Yes.
You've competed in bodybuilding and fitness competitions.
Yes.
What is it about Power Slap that you said, you know what, because you seem to embrace it, and you're becoming the face of this.
Yes.
What is it about this sport that you love so much? Because you feel a connection with the fans as well, don't you?
I think in each sport I try to reach the highlights of my ability, and then I moved on. I can easily get bored, once I discover the sport, and I still love it. I still have my heart for this. But power slab was something new, something unique. It needs so much courage, which not all the competitors have. And that's why not so many women doing it, and definitely needs so much power. And you not only have to hit hard, you also have to take the slap. So I was like, I can see myself in this division. And as you can see, I'm almost 2 years, and it just keep growing, and I'm getting even more confident and more comfortable with this.
Let me ask you, that might sound like a novice question, but, fighters train, they're wearing headgear, etc.
Yes.
Everyone was asking me this. How do they train to eat these shots, right? Because you don't want to get slapped in the face every day, right? So how do you train?
Okay.
Is it sort of like boxing? Are you wearing headgears? Are you taking headshots? Like how do you prepare for that?
I would say my past relationship prepared me for that. But currently I'm just taking slaps only on the competition. But I already know that I am able to take it. That's enough.
On another note, is it hard? Because I can imagine men would be intimidated from you knowing just how tough you are.
Yes, they are.
Yeah,
I don't blame them for that.
Yeah, you're going to need a tough-ass dude.
You see our KOs?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
So what do you like better? What was more, did you like blowing the kiss back after eating the shot, or do you like knocking someone out?
I like to eat the shot because I can show for people also a different level of the power, of the strength, of the courage. But also when I'm going to give a shot, then I'm just going to show my power, So in both cases, I think I can actually show a lot about me.
Now, speaking of courage, I got to tell you, so Jackie Cataline is a longtime mixed martial artist, amateur wrestler, tough as nails. I imagine, Frank, it's hard to find opponents that want to fight Sheena. And I just respect the hell out of Jackie for stepping up and doing this.
Yeah,
right? Coming out of an octagon, coming out of a cage to do this.
Yeah, Jackie, I think, spent some time doing the U.S. Olympic trials for wrestling. She's done professional MMA before, so it's a great opponent for Sheena. It's going to be a fantastic match. It's our first ever women's co-main here in Vegas Super Bowl week. I mean, you can't write the script better.
Now, I think of Las Vegas and how far it's come hosting Super Bowls right now. The Las Vegas Golden Knights, sort of known as the first pro team, but I don't think it would be unfair to say the UFC was kind of the first pro sports team here, wasn't it?
It happened so fast.
Before the Vegas when T-Mobile opened, I almost thought it was almost like the UFC arena as well as the Golden Knights.
100%. I moved out here like 5-6 years ago. Maybe the Golden Knights were just starting about then, 5-6 years, right? It really felt like UFC was the only thing in town. You fast forward, it's almost weird that it took so long for all this to happen because Vegas is such an awesome city, but now we have Super Bowl, F1, the Sphere, all these events, new properties going up left and right. When we get the A's coming, right? All these sports are going to be here. Vegas is going to be a leading American town.
So you have this card at the Durango, and it should be noted the Fertitas open at Durango, beautiful establishment.
Yep.
I know it's been brought up, and you've been asked before, obviously, with the UFC connections, about sort of crossovers. Like, are you going to build it sort of? You take it from a 750 venue, sort of like the old days was at the Palms, right?
Yeah.
So, is there sort of a vision of a growth? All right, and then one day we're going to be at T-Mobile in a couple of years?
Right now, we really love the live event experience. The experience is very different than any live event you've been to. It's very fast-paced. It's kind of a free-for-all, but kind of controlled chaos. So we love that element to it. And there's something really cool about being close. Everyone in the arena has an amazing seat right now. So we're looking at like 4,000 or 5,000 seat venues that are like opera style tight, almost like wrestling used to do this in the old days at like the Hammerstein Ballroom, right? They would have the ring in the middle.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah.
Like, so we're looking at things like that, and then as far as whether it's standalone or if the opportunity is right to travel to the same city that UFC has a big pay-per-view that weekend, we'll do it. If not, it'll be we'll find a standalone night to do it in a different city.
So let me ask you, Sheena, about Jackie Cataline, a former wrestler. As you stated, very strong, thick. When you look at her, what do you expect from her? And I know you respect all your opponents because they're stepping up to face you.
Okay, so I shouldn't have really expectation. I shouldn't underestimate any of my opponent. So in my eyes, all of them, I try to put like they are a competition. So that helps me to bring out the best from me. Actually, I really appreciate her. The fans can't complain because she's a badass fighter, actually.
Yeah.
We have a very similar background because of the combat sport, and that's why I think it's going to be a very, very equal fight, as we are standing out for.
I can't wait to see this. Now, as far as combat sports, have you ever thought about mixed martial arts yourself?
Yes, I'm training now MMA for a year, and I'm just waiting the right time and still for my first opponent.
Now, it seems like whatever she does, like she's just a natural at. Like, to be honest, for just a super freak athlete, especially in this combat sports zone. Like, how lucky are you guys to have her this early in your stage of the company?
I'm lucky too.
No, it's great. I mean, when we first did this, we did a closed-door exhibition about 18 months ago at this point, March 2022. Sheena was one of the first ones who showed up, and she had a crazy knockout then. Then it took a while to get her back. She was assistant coach on season 1.
And you guys brought her to coach the men, right?
We brought her in.
So what was that like?
They still writing me like.
So were they like, man, who's this girl coming in, and like, or were they like, man, like, so what was it like coaching the men at first in a new sport like this?
Honestly, they give a lot of credit for my words. They handled me with full of respect, and I wouldn't say that. I would say that I more try to inspire them mentally, because the journey I went through of different sports, I was able to really connect in them. I'm very, very spiritual too, so I think I could,
it's amazing.
I could really
power slap and spiritual. That's what I love, the contrast.
I think all fighters has to be really spiritual,
Pound for pound, Sheena's got one of the strongest slaps in the whole promotion, and one of the fastest hand speeds. So
the combination.
There's a reason she was coaching.
And I'm learning more and more about the technique. And I've hosted an MMA show, as people know, our viewers know, and I've been around combat sports for a long time. But I'm not going to lie. Like, the first time I saw an event live, it was basically like in a dug-in pool. And I got blood in my drink.
Okay.
Right? Someone that was like, literally, I was like, whoa, this is like sort of, whoa. And then, I sort of got more and more and more, and it sort of evolved into NCAA athletes participating. So, the potential is limitless for this, really, isn't it?
For sure. It's going to evolve, especially when we start taking on the road, having these bigger...
Do you think American media will evolve with this?
I don't know if we even really need
care?
Yeah, I don't think we really care. I mean, look, it's the first sport that was built on social and digital media. That's our focus. The people we invite to the event, it's almost our own media.
Yeah.
So I love doing things like this, but we're good either way.
Hey, so listen, it's awesome. We got about a minute left with you here. Tell people about the card.
Yep.
We have Sheena versus Jackie Cataline. Who else is on the card?
Sheena versus Jackie is the co-main event. The headlining fight is the grudge match between the two coaches from season 2. Chris Thomas, he's 5-0, 5 knockouts.
It's going to be awesome,
Versus Manny Muniz. He has 6 fights with us, never been knocked down. So you have a guy who's 5-0, 5 KOs against a guy who's never been knocked down. The card starts at 9 o'clock Eastern. The main card starts at 9 o'clock Eastern. It's live and free on Rumble. The early prelim starts 7:30.
And Roku as well, right?
Just Rumble.
Oh,
but you could download the Rumble app on your Roku device.
Yes, exactly.
Samsung devices. Any device that has an app you could download.
I say that
Rumble.
because we're on Roku as well.
I love it. It's all good. But it's live and free. It's a great event. It's going to be, that house is going to be packed. It's going to be booming in there, and we're excited for to bring the house down on Super Bowl weekend here in Vegas.
Hey, listen, it was a pleasure meeting you. I look forward to doing this again. Sheena, it was a pleasure meeting you as well. Best of luck on Friday night against Jackie Cataline. Check it out on Rumble. It's going to be sick. And for the record, I'm betting on Sheena. Minus 275. Lay it down and win, baby. Let's do this thing. We're kicking it live in Las Vegas. Countdown to kickoff continues. Let's roll.
$38, $41, $30, $30. 9 assists, 8 assists, 7 assists, 8 assists. If Jalen Brunson can continue to do this and the Knicks continue to overachieve and play themselves into a top 5 seed in the East, Jalen Brunson should get better consideration for the MVP. It is deserved.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
He feels like he's got unfinished business, right? He won the national championship, did what he said he wanted to do going back to Ann Arbor.
And, he coached, I think, with the Raiders as an assistant and then got the job with the Niners and then went to title games, went to Super Bowls, lost to his brother. And I think you're right, unfinished business, go back, try to win a Super Bowl.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Thanks to Sheena Bathory as well as Frank Lemisella for joining us live from Media Row earlier in the day. They're going to be live. This is the Power Slap's first ever live card. They've had live events, obviously, before, but this is a Power Slap 6. But it's the first time the public was able to buy tickets, although it was limited to begin with, so they only leaked a couple of tickets out there. It's in a venue that holds like 750 people, plus, extra guests, etc. But this stuff is going to be lit. There's a lot of excitement about it this weekend. We've got odds for it. And for those of you that just watched this interview, do you want to bet against this woman? Like seriously. Watch her fights. Watch her dominate and just murder people. As I stated, I don't know how they find anybody that wants to step on. Really, you want to get slapped in the head by this girl? All right, the Hungarian, she's a Hungarian hurricane. That's what she is, literally and figuratively. She's minus 275. I got to tell you, I never thought I'd be giving you a Power Slap Super Bowl parlay, but why don't we we'll parlay Sheena Bathory? But all kidding aside, I am going to bet on Sheena Bathory, minus 275. The event is Friday night. BetMGM actually takes bets on Power Slap, and I'm glad I'm in Vegas, actually, for this, because to be honest, pretty much everybody in Vegas is accepting action on this sport, and it's only going to continue to grow, right? I know, there was a lot of negativity about it when it came out last year, but there used to be a lot of negativity. Put it this way, I remember living in Toronto, and it wasn't allowed in Ontario. Fast forward to they sold 55,000 tickets at the Rogers Centre once there. And didn't they just have a card there the other day? John McCain called the UFC human cockfighting before in the past. Now, former presidents are sitting cage side at these events. So in other words, like if Power Slap was a stock, I wouldn't fade it. I would invest in it because it's only going to get bigger. It's not going away. It's only going to get bigger because of people like Sheena Bathory. So let's pick some winners on the other side. One of the best in the business, Brady Cannon, steps up and in. Let's roll. Let's roll. We're kicking it live from the beautiful MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada, straight from the Strip. Countdown to kickoff is on. Welcome back to SportsGrid Super Bowl 58 coverage. Although we came to Vegas for a football game, we've ended up talking Power Slap with Sheena Bathory. We have more mixed martial artists coming up later in the week, including a few UFC champions. Keep it locked in. We have Sean Merriman, former NFL great, now the president and founder, actually, of Lights Out Extreme Championship Fighting. So looks like the world of combat sports and football are sort of merging this week. But we've also got some golf picks with the best in the business, and I look forward to Brady's Super Bowl thoughts as well. The great Brady Cannon joins us straight from the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. Brady, it's great to see you as always, my man.
Mr. Morency, good to be back with you once again. I remember it was Circa where we were for
Formula One weekend.
Now you're back for another major event in here.
We were here for the NFL draft. We were here for Formula One, and now we're back for the Super Bowl. We're not playing around.
No, you are not at all, and great to be with you, my friend.
Yeah, no, it's great to have you here, Brady. So as somebody that lives here, what's it like hosting the Super Bowl? How do you feel? Like, doesn't it kind of feel weird, like to have the Super Bowl in your backyard? And you're a San Francisco 49er fan. Legally, for legal purposes, we have to have them away versus home. And I'm not even kidding.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. I don't know if I should tell you guys this, but a couple of days ago, we showed up here, and on our screen, it was the other way around. And somebody nearly got fired. Their heads are like rolling down the Strip right now. And it's like mandatory that you get it right. So I'm sorry that we forced you to sit in front of the Chiefs helmet.
Yeah, that's okay. I get it. And, it's even weird being in Las Vegas, home of the Raiders. Not only am I a 49er fan, but now you have about the Raiders' most hated rival here in the Kansas City Chiefs, who, by the way, are occupying the Raiders' locker room
Not
this
only
week,
that,
I understand.
that they are actually in their practice facility and took it over. And earlier in the week, we had a mini controversy with the practice field. And all kidding aside, and I know UNLV has a beautiful new facility, actually,
right,
that the Fertittas put a lot of money into. And
Yes.
it was NFL approved. But with that being stated, I knew when I saw that the San Francisco 49ers got UNLV's facilities and the Chiefs got the Raiders, that it was an advantage for the Raiders. Let's just call it off what it is.
The script was on, right?
Shanahan doesn't seem to care, but the players are bothered by it.
Yeah, and I wonder if that was just coach speak, too, saying, I don't care. I mean, maybe he is a little bothered by it, but it's the right thing for him to say that he doesn't mind. The wrong thing would have been to the very first day here to make a fuss about the practice facility. Let's move on. We got bigger fish to fry.
No, and they have moved on. So how do you feel about this game right now that we're days away? The media work for the teams are basically done. They did this on Monday night. They got it out of the way. Now they're going to go through their final walkthroughs. How do you feel about this game from a betting perspective? Like, is it starting to, become clearer to you as kickoff approaches?
Well, here we are on Tuesday night, and Gabe, I have not made a bet on the side just yet. I'm probably going to wait until Friday or Saturday because this town still probably, I mean, is it even half? At least a quarter of the people that are coming for this game aren't even here yet. And I think a lot of those people are going to be on this team right here, the Kansas City Chiefs. And if they don't drive that spread down a little bit, maybe get it back to 1.5. I don't know if we'll see 1 again. It might come to 1.5, but I think they're going to drive the money line down back to at least minus 120. And I'm looking for minus 120 or better on San Francisco, and that's when I'm going to get in on the Niners. And that's not because I'm a fan. I think they've been the better team all year. I mean, if you look at the last 7 or 8 games of the season for Kansas City, I don't count Week 18. The last 7 games, they went 3-4. They lost to the Bills, they lost to the Eagles, they lost to the Packers.
So let me ask you something then. Why is it that I've heard so many people, I'm sure you've heard the same narrative, that San Francisco didn't play well over the second half of the season? Yet I brought it up on yesterday's show. I said, I don't know, didn't the Raiders crush Kansas City Christmas time?
Yeah, Kansas City wasn't that great either. Now, they've looked really good the last 2 weeks in the playoffs, or the last 3 weeks, rather. And it's true. San Francisco did
I'm not
regress.
a week-to-week guy. Are you a week-to-week guy?
No, I don't think you can bet the NFL that way.
Each matchup is different.
You know how that is. You can't remember what you saw last necessarily. And I think that's a big key here in effect as well. The 49ers didn't play their best 2 weeks in a row and still found a way to win. That's a sign of a good team. They have faced better offenses than they will in the Kansas City Chiefs. They faced the Green Bay Packers, who were 4th in EPA per play on offense when you include the playoffs, and the Lions, who were 6th. Kansas City is 10th. Now, to your point about San Francisco regressing the second half of the year, Talanoa Hufanga, since he went out with injury, the San Francisco defense did regress for sure. That was in Week 11. At the time, they were 5th in EPA per play on defense. They are now 14th. So this defense has fallen off a little bit, but again, they're not facing as good an offense as they have the past couple of weeks in the Kansas City Chiefs.
Brady Cannon kicking it with us. So it seemed at media night that San Francisco 49er fans were a little bit louder. And you talked about thinking about some late Kansas City money coming in, the Travis Kelce effect, the public, the Mahomes factor. But the actual stadium itself, I have to wonder if KC fans, I've seen more Niner fans over the last couple of days now. I've noticed that there's, married couples that are Chief fans, older couples. And then I'm seeing sort of packs of young, sort of drunk Niner fans starting to show up. Because quite frankly, look, man, it's their 4th Super Bowl in Mahomes' career.
Right.
And, people don't have money. It was sort of like the Patriots thing. Ticket brokers used to hate that the Patriots were in the Super Bowl so much because Super Bowl is like a once-in-a-lifetime experience, especially now.
You want some new blood.
Tickets
you want
are
new
$8,000
to
get in.
Well, the Niners make sense with the proximity, obviously, to California. I would think, when it's all said and done, Gabe, maybe 55%. I don't know if it's going to get all the way to 60-40 in favor of the Niners. The Chiefs fans travel well. And to your point, they've been there, done that a few times recently, but I still think you're going to get a pretty big influx of Kansas City fans.
What do you make of the fact that the total just has not moved?
It's a good question, man. And I think the number's really tough. It's kind of a lower total for what we're used to in Super Bowls. I kind of lean to the over. What worries me about that is it seems like everybody kind of likes that side, and I don't always like to be in the majority. But one thing that I think is a factor here is Bill Vinovich is going to be the referee. I think he's the best referee in football. He's got a reputation of letting the guys play and not throwing as many flags. Not going to have as many holding calls, not going to have as many punts.
I'm glad you bring this up. Listen, we're coming up against it right now, but Bill Vinovich is the referee. He did the last Super Bowl that these two teams played.
Yeah.
And the criticism of Vinovich, because people criticize all refs, is that he lets too much go. Not that he's flag happy. We'll get into the penalty prop on the other side.
Super Bowl is set in Vegas. We get a rematch from just a few years ago.
The only consistency in the playoffs has been Travis Kelce.
Brock Purdy, back-to-back weeks point 1 touchdown pass, right? You can't win MVP with 1 touchdown pass.
I hate the Chiefs, but I bet on them.
This is going to be a game that is played inside a field goal now from a spread perspective.
All that matters is there's one game left, the big game.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He doesn't run well, the Chiefs are really in trouble. If McCaffrey doesn't run well, there's a lot more options that you can actually use at that point. And that's how I'm trying to approach it and effectively. But also, Pacheco anytime touchdown. If they're going to score a touchdown, probably going to be him.
That's a good look. Attempts from Pacheco if you believe Kansas City's going to play their style. If you don't, then maybe you go under that total in regards to that.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFC selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I think Mahomes will go over that 12.5 easy. I think McCaffrey will have 20 or more attempts because they know they can't throw all day against that Kansas City defense. They got to run.
Teams that win have been healthier for the most part. So you have two relatively healthy teams, but the 49ers have the advantage.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid Super Bowl 58 coverage continues straight from the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. And speaking of which, we're a couple of slap shots away, actually, from the Edmonton Oilers and the Vegas Golden Knights game. And I'll tell you what, Brady, the Edmonton Oilers riding a 16-game win streak.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, they haven't lost a game since like December the 19th. Yet they've had a prolonged break because of the National Hockey League All-Star festivities, an extended break. I actually think Vegas are a live dog tonight. And you know what I like about this, too? Coach Cassidy and the Vegas Golden Knights, they didn't say that, well, it's another game. And, you know, they said, no, this is a massive game. Number one, we want to end their streak. And the Vegas Golden Knights are only like 5 points ahead of Edmonton. So I like the fact that Vegas said, no, yeah, this is a massive game. And, yes, we want to win.
Well, I'm with you, and I am not a hockey expert, but a mutual friend of yours and mine, Lou Finicaro, told me he was Gamblu was all over the Vegas Golden Knights tonight, and I was surprised. I punched it up on my app, and they're plus 125.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, that doesn't happen too often. The Vegas Golden Knights, a very good team, catching points, if you will, a plus price, a home dog, and I think it's a great strategy that I like to employ in the NFL. When you have a really hot team, and this absolutely applied to the Jacksonville Jaguars this season, they had won 5 straight, and then they had to take their bye week. Okay, the Niners had lost 3 straight and then got to take their bye week. What happened when they came out? The Niners got their act together, and they walloped the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had their momentum killed. Well, the Edmonton Oilers, as you mentioned, 16 in a row, and then it all gets halted by the All-Star break. That's not great for a team that's so hot. You want to keep going. So I think this is a good spot for the Golden Knights.
And surprisingly, a live home dog here as well. Quite the price that we're getting.
I can't remember the last time they were plus 125.
One of the few. We think we're in Edmonton. One of the few Vegas Golden Knight jerseys here. We're saying take the Knights, plus 125. Bad spot for an Edmonton Oiler team.
It's nighttime.
It's nighttime. Although it is Canadian weather out there.
Yes, it is, for sure.
It is kind of Edmontonian weather out there.
Are we in Pebble Beach, where they played the golf?
Yeah,
I mean, gosh, the whole West Coast is just getting peppered with rain. Thankfully, not as much wind as they had at Pebble, but...
Okay, well, you know what, this might be a good omen. It is San Francisco-type weather.
Yes, that's true.
It is.
That's true.
And you know what? I went to the Dodgers and the San Francisco Giants playoff game years ago, and it was one of the windiest games in Dodgers history.
Mm-hmm.
And on the way to the game, the Uber driver told me, this isn't good, And I said, yeah, I know the weather sucks. And he goes, no, it's not good. He goes, this is San Francisco weather. And I said, oh, man. I said, you're effing right, bro. San Francisco won 1-0 in the wind. Gavin Lux hit a ball that didn't clear the wall because of the wind. And they even said, 999 million times, that ball would have cleared the wall if not for the wind. So if you're looking for positive omens, because it's hard. I mean, have you ever seen from a handicapping perspective, and I know you're not the biggest trend guy, you're more of a watch the game guy, but Patrick Mahomes' numbers and the success that he's had.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
We talk about him, so the 11-1 against the spread stuff's the underdog. He's 9-3 straight up as an underdog. His 75% win rate in these games is the best of any quarterback since the 1970 AFL-NFL merger.
None of that can be ignored. I don't care if you're a trend guy or not. That stuff's real. He's just that good. He's been on very good teams with arguably the best coach in the NFL. It doesn't mean it's necessarily going to happen again. That's all.
And there's more to the game than just him.
That's true, and I think it's probably, in what we've seen in the Patrick Mahomes era, it might be the weakest Chiefs team that we've seen. It is a little bit surprising that they're here. I thought they were going to lose to the Ravens. I thought they had a good chance to lose to your Bills. Now, that all being said, they have probably a better defense than we've seen in a long time, too. This is not a typical Chiefs defense. It's much better. It's not a typical Chiefs offense, but the defense is a lot better than they have been in years past.
How do you think San Francisco's defense matches up with KC? Will they be able to slow them down? Let me just start throwing some questions at you. Pacheco, over under 65.5 rush yards. There's a big narrative that Pacheco is going to be a big part of their offense.
I'd go over. I think it has been a weak link of the 49ers defense is being able to defend the run in recent weeks, and we saw Green Bay run all over them. We saw the Detroit Lions run all over them. Now, I would imagine it'll be shored up a little bit. They understand that's an area of focus. But I would go over on Pacheco, and Gabe, conversely, I would go under. I saw 90.5 as a number on Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to go under that. Now, McCaffrey still might have a great game. He might rush for 75 yards and score 2 touchdowns. But obviously, he is such a focal point of this team that the Chiefs are going to game plan probably entirely or a large part around McCaffrey. I also bet a prop on his first reception would be under 6.5 yards because everybody is going to be so clued in on Christian McCaffrey. I don't think he's going to necessarily find immediate success.
But do you think so it's a lot of rush yards for him to have.
90's a lot. He doesn't really do that. I mean, it was last week he had a great game and rushed for 80.
Do you think he catches a lot of balls out of the backfield?
The number's probably 4.5. I'd probably say he's going to catch about 3 or 4, at least.
One thing with Christian McCaffrey, I played a prop here. I'm curious your take on this. I got plus 275. Just because I think the number was so good, I couldn't pass this up. Christian McCaffrey to be the first San Francisco 49er player to record a reception.
I think it's a great bet.
I could look at Brock Purdy, and even in the first drive of the game, second down maybe, little drop back, little dump off to Christian McCaffrey, and then boom at plus 275. I played Travis Kelce at plus 175 to have the first catch recorded by a Kansas City Chief player.
I don't think that's bad either, and those prices are really good. And I especially like the McCaffrey bet, and it Another one that I think makes a lot of sense, and that is, will Brock Purdy's first pass be completed? Will it be complete or incomplete? I like to bet on the complete in this case because I think they're going to kind of give him an easy one, give him a little Mickey to kind of get, some of the cobwebs off and calm the nerves a little bit, and it probably very well could be, I think, a dump off to McCaffrey. So I like both of those bets.
We've got about 2 minutes before the break. On the other side, we're going to see who Brady likes in the waste management because he is the golf guru here on the grid. Who are some of the players that you're looking at? A couple of player props and/or game props that you're playing. We talked about the referee, actually. Let's get back to this, actually.
Yep.
So Bill Vinovich is the referee of this game. Bill Vinovich did the last Super Bowl. It's only the second time he's been the head referee of the Super Bowl. And ironically enough, because he got COVID during the COVID stuff, so ironically enough, it was the last Super Bowl that did. He called 9 penalties. I don't know if you guys have noticed, because everybody complains about the NFL referees all the time, and I get it, a lot of them do suck. But the fact is, they've let a hell of a lot go over the last couple of months. They'll call if you hit the quarterback when he slides. Dude, the Ravens punched Mahomes in the face. They had to call it. I've noticed, Brady, they don't call pass interference nearly as much as they used to. They're letting the guys play this year over the last couple of months. Vinovich has the reputation of letting them play. We saw he called 9 penalties only in the last Super Bowl. I've already placed the bet. Total accepted penalties in the Super Bowl under 10.5.
That's a great number. I've seen 9.5, and I still like it under. But I think you're exactly right about Vinovich. And the point where we're making in the last segment is because he let things go, because he doesn't call as many holding penalties that really, stall a drive, there's not going to be as many punts. I think that tends you to lean towards the over, the total in this game, 47.5. Like I said, a little bit of a low number. If you look at the 49ers' average scoring throughout the course of the season, it's over 29 points per game. The Chiefs are about 22.5. Right there, you're at 51 or 52. Then I broke it down further and looked at what they scored against playoff teams. It's right about the same. So I think we're going to get to the neighborhood of 50 points in this game.
I played a prop over 3.5 field goals made.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if the field goals just sort of rack up. We had Teddy Covers with us yesterday, and he said, well, if you're going to get 4 field goals, the game's probably not going to go over. I said, not necessarily. Kansas City settle for 3 and move on because Butker's so good. He doesn't miss.
Super Bowl is set in Vegas. We get a rematch from just a few years ago.
The only consistency in the playoffs has been Travis Kelce.
Brock Purdy, back-to-back weeks point 1 touchdown pass, right? You can't win MVP with 1 touchdown pass.
I hate the Chiefs, but I bet on them.
This is going to be a game that is played inside a field goal now from a spread perspective.
All that matters is there's one game left, the big game.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
He doesn't run well, the Chiefs are really in trouble. If McCaffrey doesn't run well, there's a lot more options that you can actually use at that point. And that's how I'm trying to approach it and effectively. But also, Pacheco anytime touchdown, if they're going to score a touchdown, probably going to be him.
That's a good look. Attempts for Pacheco if you believe Kansas City's going to play their style. If you don't, then maybe you go under that total in regards to that.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
I think Mahomes will go over that 12.5 easy. I think McCaffrey will have 20 or more attempts because they know they can't throw all day against that Kansas City defense. They got to run.
Teams that win have been healthier for the most part. So you have 2 relatively healthy teams, but the 49ers have the advantage.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event. the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We're kicking it live at the beautiful MGM Grand, straight for the Strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's Legends Night tonight. We got Brady Cannon in the house. He's a living legend here in Vegas. So we got Sean Merriman going to join us on the way out here tonight. I caught up with him earlier today on Media Row. But you guys know Sean's a regular on the program as it is. So, Brady, before we get into the golf, just quickly, and Brady's going to join us for a couple of minutes later in the week. We're going to try to do one last sort of, everybody's going to be in the house, going to be all over Media Row tomorrow. You got like SI parties. You're a man about town, man.
I'm covering that golf tournament.
And
SI golf tournament.
You got to live, right?
Yeah, right down the street at the Las Vegas Country Club. John Rahm in town, Brooks Koepka.
Everybody's here.
Like, I know.
Like you got
isn't it
golf,
crazy?
boxing.
You used to live here.
Yeah.
How has this changed? It's unreal.
No, it used to be UNLV games.
Yeah.
That was about it.
And then there was the rumor the NBA might come. Well, now it is coming.
That'll
Baseball's
happen
coming.
eventually. Well, I don't know if you heard the news earlier today, although a lot of people are saying that Carolyn Goodman's on the way out anyways, and she throws from the hip a lot, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. She basically said that they'd be better off staying in Oakland.
Oh, gosh. Thank you, Mayor. Good.
Yeah. She said they'd be better off staying in Oakland and that it's a disaster as far as traffic to build it where it is. She's told them that it's not a good place to build it, that she's against it.
You know what? We're talking about the Strip, the Tropicana. That's not even necessarily her territory. This is county. That's not the city.
You're right.
Of Las Vegas.
There's Paradise, right? And there's Clark County, right. Paradise. There's all kinds of different jurisdictions. So interesting, something to keep your eye on. Dave Sharapan and Matt Peralta have been talking about this extensively. All right, we're going to get to the Waste Management picks, but any props you want to share with us right now for people tuning in?
Yeah, I mentioned Christian McCaffrey under 6.5 yards for his first reception. I just think Kansas City will be so keyed on him. Maybe it goes for 4 yards. I do like your play that he could have the very first pass caught that Brock Purdy throws. I mentioned I think Purdy's first pass will be a completion. I had the game decided by exactly 3 points.
Ooh.
And I hit this a couple of years ago. I think it was the Bengals and the Rams when it fell on 3.
It's been 2 years in a row, Brady.
2 years,
20 and 38-35.
It's plus 450. That's a nice number, and 3's the most common number it lands on anyway.
Let me quickly throw this at you because I brought this up earlier. Exact score 27-24.
Wow, I think
is 80-1.
I think I grabbed that.
San Francisco 80-1, 27-24. Kansas City to win 27-24 is 90-1. I think we can sprinkle on both.
Yeah, I came up with about 3 different scores. I had 29, 22, 27, 24, and like 26, 23 or something like that. I played them all.
I like the 20. I've come back to the 26, 23 myself, actually, Brady.
If you play it like the Niners to score exactly this, you can get anywhere from like 12-1 to 40-1. But if you play the exact score, not necessarily which team, then you can get like 150-1.
So how do you feel about winning margin bets in the 1 to 6 range?
Yeah, I didn't play any of those.
Plus 300 for San Francisco to win 1-6.
I might actually rather play an alternative point spread, like the Niners minus 4.5 or something like that. Let's see. I said, yes, there will be a score in the final 2 minutes of the first half. You got to lay a big number for that one, minus 330. And that's the thing, Gabe. When you're playing prop bets, you can't necessarily always have the mindset of trying to turn a little into a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to lay the wood because it happens a lot of the times. And, will there be a score in the final 2 minutes of the first half? Yeah, it's minus 330 because it happens a lot. Will there be a score in the final 3.5 minutes of the game? I said yes, that's minus 180. First rushing attempt for Elijah Mitchell. I said over 1.5 yards. You saw how they brought him in on the goal line a couple weeks ago against the Detroit Lions. I think if Mitchell's a really good back. Not a lot of people are familiar with him, but if he gets a couple of carries just to kind of give McCaffrey a break, this guy can bust it for 10, 15 yards in a heartbeat. He is very, very good. He'd be a starter on a lot of teams in the NFL. So first rush attempt for Mitchell, over 1.5 yards. Let's see, game decided exactly by 3. And then here's another one for you. Total pass attempts for Brock Purdy, I think under 31.5. I think San Francisco, in order to win this game, is going to have to rely on the running game. They could probably see Brock Purdy throwing the ball 26, 27 times. They don't want him to throw it 35 times because that probably means that they're going to be trailing. I think they want Purdy to throw it about 26, 28 times and run the ball heavily and win this ball game.
So how do you feel about Brock Purdy's passing yard prop to the under then?
I would probably go the same direction. What's it, 275 or is it as low as like 250?
It's dropped. Like we're talking 248.5 type of range right now.
That's a tough number.
You know what a trendy play is? And I got in on it. I didn't get a great number. I got 12.5. It was 10.5. Brock Purdy rush yards.
Yeah.
Which he flashed his legs in the last game. But this is the Super Bowl. Kansas City do a good job of getting to the quarterback. You got to believe that at some point in time that Brock Purdy's going to use his legs in this game.
Yeah, and you make a great point about that bet. It has become very, very popular, and now it's up to 13.5, 14 yards. And that's probably when you want to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to pass.
Now, right?
Yeah. I mean, you have to be smart about this stuff. You can't just bet all of them blindly. But, yeah, 10.5, 11 yards, great bet. 14.5 yards, probably not as good, certainly any longer.
Okay, we got to get to some waste management, baby.
Let's do it.
Is this one of your favorite tournaments? Because from a fan perspective, people love going to it.
Yeah.
People love watching it because the crowd is crazy, but from a handicap perspective, what's your history tell you? How do you feel about it?
Well, it's one of the more predictive tournaments on tour. Actually, course history here is very big. Guys that typically play well at TPC Scottsdale do so year after year. Case in point, Hideki Matsuyama, Scotty Scheffler, two-time defending champ, Ricky Fowler, Daniel Berger, Bubba Watson, Brooks Koepka. A lot of guys play well here year in and year out. And so I actually went with some chalk. And, Victor Hovland and Xander Schauffele dropped out of this tournament. So that makes Scotty Scheffler, his path to victory is going to be, there's less speed bumps to get around with those two guys out of the mix. I actually played him at 5-1. I've seen him as low as about plus 375. And then I went deeper down the board after that. Matthew Fitzpatrick, who has a couple of very good finishes here. I got him at 35-1. Another course that I think is very, very similar. This is a ball striking fest. Okay, one of the most prominent ball striking courses on tour, and another is Bay Hill, where they play the Arnold Palmer Invitational. Matthew Fitzpatrick has had good finishes at Bay Hill as well. Oh, by the way, Scotty Scheffler's also won at Bay Hill. So I played Fitzpatrick at 35, ninth best player in the world at 35-1. Not a bad number. In a field that, again, has been weakened a little bit by the absence of Schauffele and Hovland. Then I went to a couple Canadians. Adam Hadwin at 50-1, lives in Scottsdale, plays desert golf incredibly well. Always good at the American Express.
And not to mention, let me just jump in here. The Canadian Open this past year had a very Phoenix Open. I called it the Waste Management, as it's been known as, but had a very party atmosphere. They brought the hockey mentality.
And then when Taylor won it?
Yeah, no, so exactly. So I wanted to ask you about this. How much do you put in the handicap the actual dynamic of this course, of people embracing the fact that everybody's wasted, it's loud, it's not for everybody. Not all golfers respond to this. And I just brought this up because the Canadians will.
That's a great point, and it goes into what I'm talking about course history. Guys that are used to this, guys that feed off of this, they continue to do it year after year. You don't see a one-off necessarily, or guys that are new to this atmosphere, because it's different. It's a totally different environment. So the guys that do well here, I think, are used to the party. They're used to the yelling and screaming, and I think that contributes to their success. So Adam Hadwin, like I say, he's been good here in the past. He's been good at Bay Hill. He's great at desert golf. And then I went with the other Canadian who is the absolute, epitome of a ball striker, Corey Connors, at 60-1.
He's jumping off the screen to me. I'm so glad you said that at 60-1.
You know what I really like about him this week? I mentioned it's, rainy all over the West Coast. It's rainy in Scottsdale, too. Supposed to rain today through Saturday. Not getting the wind
Another
that we
sort
had.
of advantage, Canadian. We've talked about it.
Right, and it softens up those putting
Scottish,
surfaces.
Texans do well in the wind.
Absolutely.
Canadians embrace the bad weather. Dude, it's Canada. They played golf in bad weather.
And Europeans like Fitzpatrick. But what I like about it as well, especially in the case of Corey Connors, the rain's going to soften up that golf course. Usually these greens at TPC Scottsdale are firm and fast. With the rain softening it up a little bit, Corey Connors, not traditionally a very good putter, I think it gives him an advantage. It's going to mitigate his putting woes a little bit and make this greens a little bit easier to putt on. So played him at 50, and then finally we got to go with a triple-digit bomb, right? That's been the trend here on the PGA Tour this season. So I took a shot with Tom Hoagie, who has done well here, done well at Bay Hill, finished 6th last week at Pebble Beach.
So last week was a little unique because they didn't get the final round in, but was Wyndham Clark actually triple digits in some books at some part?
Yeah.
Even if he wasn't, Brady, it was close. So in other words, we've had another massive payout on the PGA Tour.
He was 80-1 here at BetMGM. And other stores, he was as high as 100. So, the argument is, has it been 5 straight triple-digit guys? Maybe at some places, but, still a long bomb, like you said, at 80-1.
So chalk is due, man.
That's why I took Scheffler, right?
Yeah.
We're due.
I got to jump in on this. Do you ever do this, Brady? Do you ever play a golf winner and a football game? Because, let's just say, I'm going to do this, have a little fun with it. I won't have to put too much on it, but if Scheffler actually wins, I'm going into the Super Bowl with the Niners at a nice price in my back pocket.
It's funny that you bring that up, and you talk about trends, right? Maybe history's going to repeat itself. It was in 2020, the 2019 football season, in February of 2020, that the 49ers played the Chiefs. Earlier that day, I hit Webb Simpson at the Phoenix Open. Hopefully history repeats it. I started my day with a few bucks in my pocket before the kickoff even happened for the Super Bowl. So let's hope the Chiefs and the Niners pay off with another winner in Phoenix.
And remember, the last time that a team was favored in every game in the National Football League was 1994. That team, the San Francisco 49ers, that won the Super Bowl.
$38-41-30-30. 9 assists, 8 assists, 7 assists, 8 assists. If Jalen Brunson can continue to do this and the Knicks continue to overachieve and play themselves into a top 5 seed in the East, Jalen Brunson should get better consideration for the MVP. It is deserved.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro football today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
he feels like he's got unfinished business, right? He won the national championship, did what he said he wanted to do going back to Ann Arbor.
And, he coached, I think, with the Raiders as an assistant and then got the job with the Niners and then went to title games, went to Super Bowls, lost to his brother. And I think you're right, unfinished business, go back, try to win a Super Bowl.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets and when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
We are kicking it live on Media Row, Las Vegas, Nevada, but you already know that, and I think you already recognize the man that's sitting next to me. Former NFL badass, now, of course, Lights Out Extreme Fighting. He's a regular on Sports Rage, but I always love kicking it live, face-to-face with my main man, Sean Merriman.
What's up, brother?
Man,
How you
always
doing, man?
good, bro.
Good to see you.
Always good. And your stomping grounds. Well, L.A., Las Vegas, San Diego.
Yeah.
They're all your stomping grounds, bro, but good to see you, my man.
Yeah, good to see you, too.
So, listen, you've got Lights Out 14 coming up. I can't believe it. I guess you and I are getting old, and time flies by because I remember talking to you like Lights Out 1, Lights Out 5. I was like, man, congratulations on Lights Out 10. Dude, we're already at 14.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. So we got a big fight next week, Friday, in Long Beach, California, Lights Out Extreme Fight 14. This is our biggest fight that we've had so far because we got 2 or 3 guys in this card. I believe they'll probably head off to the UFC and get that opportunity there. We'll be live on Fubo TV, Fubo Sports. And also, we're introducing these Lights Out Tech gloves where it measures speed, power, punch, impact, G-force. So we're going to find a way to just try to get some of this data displayed. When guys get hit in the cage, you can measure the power and the speed of that punch coming, where it's landing at. We got cameras that's kind of capturing the motion of the fight below us. And so it's going to be really cool, really interactive, and I can't wait to introduce this to the fans.
So you've always taken the production of this very seriously.
Yeah.
How did this come to be where you're sort of revolutionizing things? I mean, we've always said, how come there's not a chip in a football?
Yeah.
You've beaten the National Football League, essentially, with this technology. But so you're going to be able to measure how strong punches are, all kinds of different metrics. How did this come to be, and how did you welcome this to your company? Say, you know what, this is what I want. Are you an analytic computer guy like yourself? How did this come to be?
Yeah, I've always been that way, and I looked at this as being like more of an incubator, right? And having these verticals of fan engagement technology, being able to have something like this where now the broadcasters and the commentators going to be able to talk about
like interactive viewing, displays real-time stats for an enhanced viewing experience. Comparative analysis provides historical comparisons to add context. So you're just going to have sort of instant stats, boom, boom, as soon as it happens.
Yeah, and this is, one day when we get the data accurate, this will be great for the betting companies. I got some betting companies, they saw this on the back end. They loved it. They want to check it out. Healthcare companies, more healthcare companies trying to get this data to maybe start to insure some of these fighters down the road if they can collect enough of this accurate data. So that's this whole thing is about, man.
How did you beat some of the bigger companies to this, actually? Because this is something that you figure that some of the bigger companies would be thinking about.
Yeah, I can maneuver a little different.
You're like a linebacker. You're going
that's right, man. I mean, look,
in the line, man.
You know, having the ability and the knowledge, and then also to the outreach, right? Because I'm not a full-on tech guy, but I know what I want to do, and I get to a hold of the right people to do it. And so, had this great partnership with these guys over at Shot Tracker, who created the technology. Actually, the technology is in, I think, PGA and the MLB and it's one other sport that they use that, but we have it in combat sports, and we're going to make this data as accurate as possible.
So a lot of your cards are often on Saturdays. This is a Friday card.
Yeah.
So you're shaking it up a little bit. Why Friday this time?
Well, because UFC's in Anaheim on Saturday.
Okay.
Which is right next door.
Yeah. So
right to Long
right
Beach.
next to the beach. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's great, right? Because we got some of the foot traffic. Obviously, they got a big card coming up.
For the
Anaheim.
record, too, Orange County UFC cards. Those are like the craziest ones, man.
Right.
that's like the old school Ed Hardy crowd, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of big dudes. And stuff.
Look, I'm going to be there. I'll be there at the fight. And so, the UFC's the next day, and we got a lot of fans coming in for the fight. That's also going to come and see us. Right?
That's
we got,
awesome. Yeah.
Tony Ferguson's guy is on this card. Tommy Aaron, Alba Morales, who fought in the UFC before, is trying to get back to the UFC. He's fighting this card. I just got word that Cain Velasquez is probably going to show up there. We got a couple of his fighters on the card as well, man. So I think that's cool for everybody to be in town at the same time.
And you have a very good relationship with the UFC and Dana White, don't you, personally?
Yeah. I got a pretty good relationship with them. And my first UFC fight was back in 2005, man. That's how long I've been around it with Chuck Liddell and Tito Ortiz and Randy Couture and these guys. So I've been around this sport, often training with them during the off seasons, man. So I've been around for a long time, and obviously having a pretty good relationship with Dana works.
So let me ask you, who are some of the guys that we should be looking at on this card on the 17th?
Well, just the ones I named. Tommy Aaron is going to be a beast. I think Alba Morales has a shot to get back into the UFC. That's something he's been really wanting to happen. AJ Hodgkins, who played linebacker at Oregon, he's going to be the first fight of the night.
And you got high hopes for him, right?
I do, man, because he's a beast, right? He has that football body to him, that explosion. Ground game is amazing. I'm just getting him. He's working more and more in his stand-up. I think once he started to throw them hands a little bit more and being able to take guys to the ground, he'll be a guy that has an opportunity at the UFC.
All right, I want to talk some football with the great Sean Merriman as well. But let me ask you, we spoke to Sheena Bathory, Power Slap.
Yeah.
She's kind of the face of Power Slap. They're, she's sort of billing her as like the Ronda Rousey type of deal. She kind of looks like Ronda as well. She kind of looks like a superstar. And I know we hear about Taylor Swift all the time. Sheena Bathory's got like 200 million hits, bro.
Yeah.
On Instagram. What do you think about Power Slap as someone? Because when I tweeted out, I said, man, I got the Frank Lemisella, I got the president on, I got Sheena Bathory on. It was like 50-50. That stuff's savage. I can't believe you're having these people on. And other people are like, man, I love this stuff. I'm betting on it. You as someone that's played football and now a combat sport owner and president of a company, what's your take on the Power Slap?
I love it. And Dana talked about this, and I talked to him a little bit when I saw him, is that you can say whatever you want. The numbers show that people are watching it, right? That video you're talking about, Dana showed me that video got 170 million views. You know what I mean? People, that's a viral moment. I think that just the viewership between all the social media presence and Rumble that they're on, you can't help it. It's almost if people watch it, it's entertainment. Everything else, in my opinion, doesn't matter, right? And by the way, they signed up to get slapped.
Yeah.
Right? We're not going on the street and saying, hey, you got to come and do this.
Because it looks bad, but is it really more dangerous than a sport that you played?
No, not at all.
Right?
Not at all. I mean, you run full speed into another guy that's 250 pounds to see what happens, right? I mean, your whole body, not your face or your hand, your whole body is
a big man still, too. I wouldn't want him.
So it's if it's entertaining and people show up to it, they'll subscribe to it, they'll watch it, it's worth having it.
All right, so let's talk about Harbaugh. How excited are you? What do you think he brings? Does it translate what he did at Michigan to the National Football League? He really preached that family and faith. And in fact, he had like 70 guys that were baptized. It was almost like they were like Liberty or something over there. They talked about playing for a higher cause. If you were playing, is Coach Harbaugh type of guy that you'd want to run through a wall for?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that his biggest quality, in my opinion, is to be able to come in and make changes right away. Because it is hard to walk into an NFL locker room. And he did it with San Francisco 49ers, by the way, with a less talented roster. He didn't have a Justin Herbert. He didn't have a Keenan Allen, right? He didn't have a Joey Bosa, Khalil Mack, or Derwin James. He didn't have none of that. And he made those changes relatively quickly. So outside of talking about it, and I get the fans are super hyped up, excited, which they should be. It's going to be a fun year. But let's not talk about Super Bowl. Let's talk about, which Jim Harbaugh did, is how we going to get in this weight room today. How we going to have the building blocks. See, that's where a lot of people
and listen, I'm a Michigan fan, and I'm really upset we lost Ben Herbert because this guy, the strength and conditioning coach and the staff, he brought Minter with him. So let me ask you about this because I've told people I'm a big Harbaugh fan, being a Michigan fan that I am. He signed a 5-year deal. Harbaugh's not coming in here to win the Super Bowl in year one, per se. How do you build this team up? Let me ask you, what would you do with the 5th pick on the draft? Do you go with Brock Bowers, who's just a stud tight end, that you pair with Justin Herbert? Or, like Harbaugh likes to build the lines, man, Joe Alt out of Notre Dame, maybe a defensive Letu out of UCLA, man, you know what I'm saying?
I am, look, nothing against Bowers. I think he's a great tight end. There's nothing wrong with Everett. Everett can go. Yeah. He can play. So if you're going to draft a position, it got to be an instant upgrade, not waiting for a guy to get on the field and trying to build him up and get him going. I think they got to go beef up that D-line, that interior D-line. They got the ball ran on them way too much last year. That mentality up front. I played with a great D tackle, Jamal Williams, when I was there. Yeah. I mean, Jamal Williams ate up 2 blockers every time. And
Harbaugh said, never mind the powder blues, we want to be a physical football team.
Right. And that's his mentality, right? He wants to go look at he's talking about Saquon Barkley, and I don't know how real this is, but he's talking about Saquon Barkley. So when you come in and you want to establish the run, you also got to stop the run. If that's the mentality of your team, we're going to run the football, we got to stop the run. So if you're going after a Saquon Barkley or something like that, in my opinion, you got Everett there. You got a wide receiver in Keenan Allen who got a couple more really great years of him left. You got to start quarterback. Go beef up that defensive line. That's what I would do. I would go after the D-line. I would beef up the D-line because if we're going to run the ball, we got to get people to stop it.
Would it be, and we'll get to the Super Bowl and get Sean's Super Bowl thoughts before we get Sean out of here, would it be a disappointment if the Chargers aren't in the playoffs this year?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's the goal, right?
Yeah.
Make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, the goal is to win a division because the best team in the league is in your division. So the mentality of it, forget the playoffs, forget the Super Bowl.
Division.
Let's win a division because we get a division.
It's like college, right? Win the conference.
That's it. Win the conference and then talk about everything else.
All right, so as far as the Super Bowl is concerned, we've got a great matchup. It's a rematch from 4 years ago. We've got, everybody talks about you just can't get in front of Mahomes here, but I think San Francisco have the deeper football team. How do you break this game down? What are the keys to the game, and who do you like?
The Ravens were a better team than KC. So were the Bills. Better team.
More talent. All these teams have more talent, right?
More talent.
They keep finding a way.
More talent. And
how good is Spagnuolo and this defensive coordinator, man?
That defense, in my opinion, Patrick Mahomes is great. That defense is the reason why they're in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That play that they made against Flowers when he was going into the end zone, that poking the ball out.
Unbelievable, huh?
That play, that's championship-style defense. That's how teams win. We could talk about Travis Kelce and Andy Reid, how great they are.
Chris Jones, one of the most underrated players in the league, man.
My next thing. The reason why they lost against the Lions starting the season out, yes, Kelce was hurt. I think because Chris Jones' presence wasn't on the field. And so when you look at it like that, man, that mentality that they're always going to get overshadowed because you got Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. But that defense and Tranquil, how they're playing right now, is the reason why they're in the Super Bowl. I'm going with KC to win the game. Because you know what? They already beat two teams that were better than them. And they know how to win. They're going to capitalize off your mistakes. And teams that have been here so many times, they know how to win.
Let me ask you, too, Sean, what's it like as a defensive player when you get a quarterback in 3rd and long, like Buffalo and Baltimore did all the time, and he's throwing it to Travis Kelce, and you can't stop it? He 11 for 11. He was targeted 11 times. He caught 11 balls. How frustrating does it get in the huddle and when you're on the line when you're playing a team like that?
I never understand this. Going into a game, you know which player can hurt you the most. I'm singling this player out. I don't care who else scores.
Yeah.
I don't care who catches the ball, get a first down.
So if you need to triple team his ass, right?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Somebody else is going to beat us today, but it won't be him. So I'm always surprised when that happens. Travis Kelce going to get his catches. There's nothing you can do about it. He's going to get his targets. He's going to get his catches. He shouldn't go 10 for 10 or 11 for 11 ever.
That's just too much. Sean, it's always a pleasure, man.
Appreciate
I know
it,
you've
brother.
been doing the rounds. I
Thank
always
you.
love seeing
Thank you.
I got to get out to a lights out card one of these times. We're always on the air, but we're going to do this. Check it out next Friday night. It's on Fubo, and if you're in the area in Southern California, Long Beach, California is the place to be. It's always a pleasure, man.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate
Good
it.
stuff. There's Sean Merriman with us. We're kicking it live in Las Vegas, Nevada. Countdown to kickoff is on Super Bowl 58. Our coverage on the grid continues. Bring it.
$38, 41, 30, 30. 9 assists, 8 assists, 7 assists, 8 assists. If Jalen Brunson can continue to do this and the Knicks continue to overachieve and play themselves into a top 5 seed in the East, Jalen Brunson should get better consideration for the MVP. It is deserved.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't
favorite.
care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
The Chargers have the 5th pick in the National Football League draft. There's a lot of different like roads that they could take with this pick. And for the record as well, there's a few sports books out there already that already have next year's Super Bowl numbers up. The Chargers are like 30-1. So there's a lot of work to do.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
He feels like he's got unfinished business, right? He won the national championship, did what he said he wanted to do going back to Ann Arbor.
And, he coached, I think, with the Raiders as an assistant and then got the job with the Niners and then went to title games, went to Super Bowls, lost to his brother. And I think you're right, unfinished business, go back, try to win a Super Bowl.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
One that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern.
As always, awesome stuff with the great Sean Merriman. Don't forget to check out Lights Out Extreme Fighting, Long Beach, California, next Friday. And in fact, the UFC is in Anaheim as well in the OC. We've got Power Slap on Friday at the Durango here in Vegas. Thanks to Sheena Bathory, a Power Slap badass, for joining us earlier on the program. We're going to lay it down on her. She's a little pricey at minus 275, but she's not losing. Put her in parlays, put her in a parlay with the San Francisco 49ers if you want. So shout out to Sheena Bathory. Shout out to the Power Slot president, Frank Lamicella, for joining us. Brady Cannon in the house. Jack Settleman with us. We had a stacked program tonight. We're going to keep it rolling tomorrow. We gave you a hockey winner earlier in the night. We took the Vancouver Canucks plus 130 against the Carolina Hurricanes. The Canucks got it done. This building's been jumping, not just because of the Super Bowl, because the Vegas Golden Knights are hosting the Edmonton Oilers tonight. The Oilers have won 16 straight hockey games. You know what? The streak is over tonight. The Vegas Golden Knights are going to win. The Vegas Golden Knights, the defending Stanley Cup champions, are plus 125 underdogs. I don't think the Oilers should be this big of favorites. I get it that the Oilers have won 16 games in a row, but they've also been off for a week and a half here. I don't think that's ideal for a team that's as hot as the Edmonton Oilers. Give me the Las Vegas Golden Knights tonight. As far as our props are concerned, we've been sort of dropping a couple of props on a daily basis. We're going to drop them all on Friday, but we do like George Kittle to score the first touchdown of this football game. We love the George Kittle anytime touchdown prop in this game. It's plus 187, George Kittle to score a touchdown at any time. Take a look at George Kittle to score the first touchdown of this game. Even though I think Kansas City are going to score first, I think KC are going to score a field goal first. We're going to continue to break down all the props. We got another great show lined up tomorrow. We're going to be on Media Row once again. We'll have some surprises. We're going to do the UFC later in the week. Keep it locked right here on the grid. Other than that, you're on your own.